That's so cute. I don't think I've ever seen it say Showtime before.
There's Max. Oh my God, our little sleuth dog.
Yes, the little fur baby. So we have Pushin, who's the official mascot, but I feel like he's the unofficial mascot.
Yeah.
Let's see if this will go through. Yes. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Every single time there's always that like, is this technology going to work for us, please? Oh my goodness. Well, everyone's coming in. I just want to welcome my guest host, Bree. If you guys don't know, she is totally amazing. She is Falling for Romance, and it's for like the number, not spelling it out, on Instagram. She has her own blog. I mean, you have just exploded in Romancelandia. This woman is incredible. And so if you're not already following her, please do. She is so sweet and so uplifting. And if you go see her Instagram post, the aesthetic is just mind-blowing. She's so talented, sweet, all the books. So shout out to my host tonight. I just want to give her like all the love and shout outs.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm such a fan of everything that you do. And I basically started reading cozy mysteries because of you, Cortagonist, and Nicole.
It was so funny. I remember I saw it was on your Instagram. I forget if it was your stories or an actual photo, but it was the Julia Buckley book. And I remember we had talked about it like forever ago. It was one of like the first books when the club first started. And I saw you mention it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's stuck.
Yeah. Oh, the Writer's Apprentice series. It's so good. Hi, everybody.
I was like, well, everyone's joining. I'm also holding a treat that is like destroyed. The little fur baby's right here. So hopefully he'll be quiet for us when we discuss our book of the month, Crime and Punctuation. And I swear my phone with autocorrect does not like the title every single time. It's like Crime and Punishment.
And the fact that it has like the symbol.
I had the best time designing our images for this month for the thumbnail, and then I kind of, took the thumbnail. I was like, okay, for Twitter, I'm going to make this because she has this shirt and it's adorable. It's a romance shirt, and you have a couple of kind of similar ones with different colors. They match the book cover. It was amazing. I was having the best time designing the images. I was like, oh, I can just put her right there, and then I can use this image. It was so cute.
I'm always so jealous of like everybody that's so good with like making like images and stuff. I'm like, how do you do it? I have no idea what I'm doing.
I don't even know. I just enjoy
it. Here.
Oh my gosh, we have so many people already joining us. Hi, everybody. This is so cool. I love how there's always that little delay with technology. I'm like, oh my gosh, all the people. Yes, I see Ellen Byron. She is offering. So I'm going to be announcing the Twitter giveaway winner. She is giving away 3 books this month as the dog is like growling and you're just like 3 books. Great. So I love I was going to say, I don't want to mess up the pun. So her latest is Long Island Iced Tina, which is one of the puns ever. So already there's been 1 winner over on Instagram, and then the Twitter one is going to be announced probably tomorrow morning because today I've been kind of preparing for the live stream. So, and then after tonight, one of the comments, every single comment counts as a giveaway entry. I'm going to gather all the entries and randomly select a winner, and a 3rd person is going to win a copy of her latest book, which came out today. So happy book birthday.
Happy book birthday. Oh, that's so exciting. So how did you pick this one? How did you pick Crime and Punctuation?
So I was so excited that this book won because it had kind of been on the radar for the longest time. And so what ended up happening is we had 4 books that had come in second or tied for first. And so so far, this is the 2nd book of the 4. So we also have our books planned for March, which is Murder in G Major, and then April, which is Color Me a Murder. And so after that, we're going to have to start doing polls again and having people submit their recommendations. And that was actually one of my notes tonight for people to start thinking about what they might want to recommend. But yeah, this was one of those books that had been kind of on the periphery. And so when we did this, it was supposed to be the second chance poll. When we did the vote off, they were within like single percentages of each other. So clearly the book club members really wanted to read all 4 of the books. So that's exactly what we're doing.
That's awesome.
I am so excited to have that be the case and that everyone was on board with that, because I also think it's been kind of really nice to have the books in advance in a way. This way people could kind of prepare, figure out their reading schedule, figure out if their library had it. I mean, there's always behind the scenes stuff that I do, making sure books are available, different platforms, there are different variations, because if someone, can't, physically read, they can still do audio and listen to it. So I always try and do the back end stuff beforehand. So it was very easy to get that all done preemptively before, it became time for the book to be the book of the month. So I'm hoping we can maybe do something like choose the next 2 books out, maybe, so we can do a couple months at a time.
And I love just the fact that you're like selecting books that were options and didn't get picked. Because like sometimes you'll see like they didn't get picked and like they never show up again. And it's like, but what if this is a new favorite book? Like, let's give it a chance.
I mean, I was really rooting for Murder in G Major. I can't even begin to tell you how many different book club members had recommended it for different polls. And so I try and remain, neutral. I'm like, whatever book club members want, they will get. And so inside, I'm like, oh, it's so close to winning. So I'm excited for next month too. This one had been on the TBR for the longest time. I saw the author at Malice Domestic. Was it 2 years ago? And she was on the panel talking about grammar. And I just remember thinking like, oh, this lady knows what she's talking about. And because she was so into grammar, I wanted to read the book. I mean, I'm excited to hear what everyone thinks of it, because I think that there's a lot to unpack with this book. So what did you think? Did you enjoy Crime and Punctuation?
I did. I really did. I mean, I feel like I very rarely don't like a cozy mystery. I don't think I've read any that like I just was like, oh, this was bad. My favorite thing was that I really loved Mikki. I loved that she's 68.
Yep.
And like, it was so like, we get reminded that she's older, just like her. She like talks about taking her hearing aid out or needing to put it in. And when her husband passes away, like needing to, wanting to move so she can take it easy, like this next phase of life. But it just felt so natural. Like it wasn't overdone, but we are reminded that she's older, but like it wasn't overdone. And I loved that. I loved it.
The dog, he's like going behind my chair. I don't know if you can see the little tail that just happened. So hopefully he finished his treat. So hopefully he'll still be quiet for us and won't be barking. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, so I become a huge fan of the Agatha Raisin TV series, and and the show differs from the books, where in the TV show she's probably in her 40s, but in the books she's in her 60s, and it's very kind of rare almost now to have a full-on senior sleuth. And I like the way it's handled. I thought it was really, I love the best friend. I love, what's her name? Doreen. I mean, it was so relatable and realistic to say, we've aged, probably a little bit more gracefully than some of our other counterparts from school. And so again, you can kind of tell the author gave this a lot of thought to have those details. I completely agree with you. That's why I'm like nodding along, like, yep. I felt like a bobblehead, like everything you're saying.
There was like the scene where I think was somebody in like a wheelchair or a walker, and then somebody was on a scooter. She's like, "We're gonna race next time."
I loved that one. She's after the service for our murdered victim. She's at the front of I forget if it was the church, but the congregation. She's at the front and she finds an opening and she goes 4, and she just guns it into the crowd. I lost it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I just read that. That was epic.
It was so fun. And that's when I was like, oh, this lady is good. Like, it feels so natural, because I love old ladies. I think that they are so much fun and so hilarious. And I was like, she's like handling this perfectly. I just think they have so much sass, and they're so comfortable in their own skin. And it just showed, like, that scene was perfect for me.
I think that it's also really great too, because I think sometimes, not always in cozy mysteries, but I think sometimes when it comes to just writing in general, after a certain age, they'll just sort of write those characters off or make them one-dimensional, or, they're like, oh, they need help to get around or something. So I like the fact that she treated these characters who were older with respect, and like there was that dignity, and yes, we're still capable, we can solve this mystery. And then even Doreen, who wasn't always physically capable because of her arthritis, was like, yeah, I got this, let's go on this race. I mean, I still want to know about the husband, like always golfing. Like that is a side question. I'm like, was he really golfing? But she was hysterical. I want her to have her own spin-off series.
I know. See the doors that they open with Cozy Mystery Series. It's like, so is Darlene gonna get a book?
I mean, I also like Anne. This is totally jumping ahead, but the murder victim, Tiffany, her grandmother has a maid, and I love how I'm trying to describe as like the interconnected web of these people. And so Anne is this. She was in school with our heroine, Mikki, and so she was kind of bullied, but she is just picking herself up. She had an abusive relationship. She's working for Ronnie, the grandmother, and like she is the sweetest, most adorable character. I'm like, can you get a spinoff too?
No. No.
It's like, we're just gonna keep requesting you to write more books, even if it's not the main character.
And like another thing I liked with Mikki is like, she's 68, her husband has passed. And I just think as women, like it's never too, you never know when you might have to start your life over, And I was like, 68, by that time, you would think somebody's like comfortable and like they're ready to, but like, no, she's starting over. And then the fact that she moves into her childhood home, I was like, sometimes you got to move home to start all over again. And she literally like goes back to her childhood home. I was like, I love this.
I thought it was so funny to see. I kept having. I love Murder, She Wrote. So I was having these flashbacks of Murder, She Wrote with Jessica Fletcher, with the husband passing away, and we don't actually find out. At least I couldn't remember. I went through the story again to try and find it, how he passed away. That was one of the things with Murder, She Wrote. We never learned how Frank passed away, and so I kind of saw the juxtaposition, and both characters, Jessica Fletcher not having children, Mikki not having children, and then I made a note because Again, you can tell I've seen every episode of Murder, She Wrote one too many times. One of the file names for our murder victim, Tiffany, she had a thumb drive, and one of the file names is The Corpse in the Gray Suit. Well, The Corpse Danced at Midnight is one of Jessica Fletcher's like main titles, and so I'm going, is this a reference? I'm like, I need answers here. I don't know if anyone else caught that, but I saw that title. And again, me and Jessica, it's a thing. I have my little Funko Pop over there somewhere. So I noticed that and I was like, I got to highlight this. I'm curious if anyone else was catching, the two characters and the similarities. I was loving it.
I have to confess, like I just got into watching mysteries and I've been hooked, but a lot of stuff is like already like smack dab in the middle of the series. And I'm like struggling with trying to find them, but they are so addicting to watch.
I've got to ask, which ones are you starting with?
Well, I'm a Hallmark girl, so I've been
high five. This is why we get along.
So like I've been watching Picture Perfect Mysteries with Alexa and Carlos Vega, but they only have like 3 episodes out, and now she's pregnant in real life, so I'm like, who knows when I'm gonna get another series. I love that, and I love Martha Vineyard's mystery.
Yep.
What
is his name? Jesse Metcalf there.
Yeah. I love it. It's like aesthetically beautiful to watch. It's so good.
I mean, those are definitely newer ones too. And I think that also points to, mysteries are still being made. People still want them. Yeah. I mean, I was so sad when Murder, She Baked ended. I mean, there's still more books being published, but Hallmark ended the movie, their series. And I'm going, oh, so sad. But then they brought Allison Sweeney back as a podcaster for another cozy mystery.
Podcaster one. Have you been watching that one? Because they had a marathon this weekend, and I was like, should I start watching this since my other shows like are on hiatus, I guess?
I mean, it's one of those, I feel as if I just get sucked in with these Hallmark movie mysteries. Whatever they do, the McBride ones, I kind of got to be like, okay, I can't, if I start this is my weekend. Like, I just can't.
So, okay, what did you think about Mikki as like a freelance editor? I loved that part of this book.
I had questions about this because part of me, like, I love that this was her job, but I was also kind of wondering we know she's a language arts teacher for 7th and 8th graders, and she's totally into grammar, but I was kind of wondering what else her experience was in regards to editing books. Mm-hmm. That was one of my kind of questions because, again, romance, high five. She was editing for her romance friend, and I'm kind of going, wait a second, like, where did this literary, you can tell the author knows exactly what she's talking about. Like, she's been through this process. She knows the line edits, like developmental, like she knew her stuff. I just thought it was interesting. Like, how did you land on this as your job? I kind of wanted a little bit more information. Like, did she do a certificate program? Like, how did she decide this?
Yeah. And she kept talking about like reference material. So I was like, maybe she just kind of taught herself. Like, I went to school for like English or whatever. And I did love that, like, she kept talking about like having books and like reference material. But I think there's like something about cozy mysteries with writers that I'm like, maybe this is a catnip of mine.
Oh yeah, again, the Julia Buckley series. Again, she's a writer. I mean, I thought it was so interesting though that she herself didn't necessarily want to be a writer, but she loved reading other people's works. And it was so cute when she was reading the short story, and then I think it was an article about gardening or something. So she was editing like across the board. Maybe like the next, again, like I think there are only 3 books in the series at the moment, but maybe somewhere down the line she's editing for, someone who's doing journalism, someone else is doing this book. Like, that opens a whole different, universe for different doors to open with, future books.
And I love how, the book that she's editing, I mean, I'm assuming we'll see this with the series as it continues, but like it kind of ties in. Like, it makes me think of what's the librarian series by Ellery Adams, where like,
oh yeah, I have that somewhere over there.
The book retreat series, I think. Yes. And like each book is like a theme, like everybody comes to the hotel that they all like Agatha Christie, and then the murder happens, and it's kind of, it's like, I love when like it's bookish themed and then the murder happens and like the murder kind of ties into the bookish theme. I'm like, if that's a summary, I'm gonna buy the book.
I mean, whenever they can kind of do that foreshadowing or that juxtaposition of, we're reading this book and then the murder has those similarities where you're like, oh, wait a second, the victim was killed this way, and that was exactly how it was in this play that we just saw. Like, that blows my mind, because that is such good writing when you can bring it back around like that. And I mean, for her with this one, I love that her skill set played into the book, but it also played into the mystery. And that was how she was like, wait a second, there's no comma there. And then there's a comma.
Yes.
She knows her stuff. So if there's no comma there, that was deliberate. And so like, I like how that played into the actual kind of clue.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost like she was sleuthing before she realized she was sleuthing.
I know. I was kind of writing that down, because my biggest pet peeve is when you have the sleuthers who are just sort of like, I'm going to be nosy looking over the corner. And so like I started making notes about when she was actively sleuthing versus when she kind of stumbled upon the clues. I mean, but even when she stumbled upon the clues, she was like, oh, I'm going to go underneath this fence and go looking for things, like just to go take, shots of the nature scenes. And then she meets the guards. So like I mean, my favorite, this woman, I love this scene. I love this part in the book where she goes in for a job interview at the corporation that might be the evil corporation in town. And she's just like, yeah, I'm just going to walk in here and interview. Naturally, like, of course you're going to go interview with like the bad guys and see what happens.
And she can tell that the lady's like, you're not going to get this job.
The lady was like, we want someone who's going to be here 10 years out. And she's like, I don't plan on dying. I was like, oh my gosh, like that lady, like that was a terrible interview, but like not because of Mikki, because the lady, again, evil corporation.
That, like, I was thinking that, like, as I was reading it, I was like, okay, usually when I start a new series, it takes a little bit for me to get used to like the very actively nosy sleuth. Yep. And I did not feel like that with Mikki. Like, she had the manuscript, the girl passed away. She didn't even know she had like the thumb drive or whatever it was. And then once she realizes she has, like, it was just really casual, like how she started sleuthing. And I was like, I really like this. It felt like this laid backness.
I mean, I was so invested. I was writing down, like, why are they asking her about, in my notes, I kept saying, like, why are they asking her if this woman gave her additional material? And so I was kind of wondering if Tiffany made a note somewhere going, I left this information with someone or whatever. So I thought it was so cute that she was able to truthfully say, no, she didn't leave me anything. Oh, she didn't leave me anything. And then all of a sudden she went, hey, wait a second, I still have that envelope. And then she found this gigantic clue, like with the red flag, like, here I am.
I was like, did she know that like somebody possibly is out to kill her, and like, let me give this to this book editor who is going to go line by line, and maybe it just felt like really intentional. And I'm like hoping like Tiffany Beyond the Grave is like, thank you for solving it. I knew this was coming.
I mean, my one little thing for Tiffany is I felt so badly. Like, this might be a little spoiler alerty at the end, but the book. So Mikki has very clear-cut thoughts about this book. So she thinks the first 3 chapters are really great, and she could tell that Tiffany rewrote them multiple times. But then the rest of the book had a lot of issues. It wasn't necessarily best narrative structure, and all those other things sort of pop up. And I kind of, part of me wished that she not ghostwrite. I think she should do like co-author or figure out some sort of credit with the name. I would love for Tiffany to actually get that book published, as a sort of last, this is what I really wanted to do, just sort of in memory of her. I felt really, I just really wish that Mikki, had said, yeah, I'll do the co-author, or, I'll do it in dedication to her or something. I thought that would have been so great. That was my one little like upset hiccup there at the end.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like it was a mystery within a mystery, and that just made it so fun. It was like mystery upon mystery upon mystery in this book.
Well, even just random things with the friend Doreen there, that she's kind of being more withdrawn. You're going, what's going on with Doreen? Like, what's happening over there? Like, there are other characters where you're just kind of wondering, like, what's their story?
Yeah.
As I'm like looking down, like even Ronnie and her backstory, like I just kept waiting to hear more information. Like, it wasn't a mystery. I was just sort of like on the edge of my seat, like, what else happened between you two? I just felt like I was a little nosy with that one.
I have I guess one thing that I've learned with cozy mysteries is like, they do a really good job of like really making you think this is the person. Then I'm always wrong.
So who did you, I mean, I'm kind of curious, people in the comment section too, like, who did you think was the killer? I mean, so Tiffany, I mean, she came across as very innocent. It wasn't until probably about 75% in you find out, oh, she wasn't necessarily, 100% the angel that she appeared. Yeah. But they definitely played with like the husband being abusive, then the husband's goon. Yeah. I mean, that guy got like right up in Mikki's face. That guy, like, I didn't think he was the killer. I mean, I definitely thought like red herring, but like he could have killed somebody if it wasn't Tiffany. Like, he was totally capable of killing.
And then how that, the characters in Tiffany's book kind of were duplicated off of her husband and the guy. So I was like, oh, it's got to be the husband. But and then at the end, I was like, he's too easy. It would have been too easy for it to be him.
No, I mean, that was one of my big things with one of the other books that I've read recently. It was a cozy mystery, and when it was the husband, it was the husband. I was like, you went right back around in a circle to where we started. I was like, how dare you do that to me? Because I like playing the game. And so this one I kind of figured out, because I think there were like little details along the way with when it came to our killer that were kind of sketchy. Just even the fact that, like, I mean, should I do the reveal and say who the killer was? Okay, so we find out the killer is Mike. And so I kind of from the get-go had like my radar up about this guy for like couple stupid reasons, because he broke up with Mikki when they were in high school, and I was like, oh, but he broke up with our heroine, like he's got to be a bad guy. Like, because he dumped her in high school for her arch nemesis. So like right away I was like, oh, I have questions about you.
This guy.
I was like, wait a second, you broke up with her for the one that she, the enemy there. Right away I was like, I got my eye on you, buddy.
Yeah, Elle said Mike. Somebody said Mike all the way. Yeah, Leah, she said Mike all the way. His reaction to the flash drive sealed the deal.
I mean, so I started writing down like random things because I went back to the beginning after I finished the book. And so like even stupid things where he chose the restaurant right across the street from the police station, and she makes note of that being odd. I'm going, well, maybe he literally just wanted to see what they were doing to keep an eye out and have a reason to be there. Like maybe he was spying. So like I kind of went back and looked at the scenes with him with a different lens, and I'm going, yeah, I mean, because even when I was looking down when Mikki said that Tiffany didn't seem like the type to commit suicide, like she just shot that theory down, and he was like, why do you say that? Well, he was really like, why are you going up against that theory? He needed that to be true.
He was acting weird. But but then it just also like all signs pointed to the husband too. So she did a really good job of like, you don't know who it could, I mean, you don't know who it could have been. I really thought it was the husband, but then when I finished, I was like, you know what, Mike was acting a little weird, but I just thought it was the husband.
I mean, I would have been heartbroken if it was the grandmother. Like, I understand they were arch enemies in high school, but I mean, that would have been, a little much for
grandma
me.
was definitely acting a little sketchy too.
I mean, I got to admit, like, even if you don't like the person you went to high school with, I mean, everybody has that one person where you're like, oh, bane of my existence. Like, everyone has that person they went to high school with. I'm being honest. Like, I'm not naming names, but like, I had a couple people like that where I'm like, oh, you're such a mean girl. Yeah. And so, like, but if it was the granddaughter and this person gives you, I mean, she gives her the thumb drive with all of the research and her book. And Ronnie throws the thumb drive away. I'm like, I don't care who gives me that thumb drive. Like, I am keeping that sucker. Like, that is now my property. Like, I couldn't believe she threw it away without looking at the book that her granddaughter wrote. I was going, oh, Ronnie.
Yeah, and it even made it even more sad because, like, I think when she first met with Tiffany, she said like nobody knew she was writing the book, and it's like, because she didn't feel supportive, and like when we get that scene later on, it's like, okay, now I know why she wouldn't want to talk about it to anybody.
I mean, that was actually one of my questions, because we find out that Tiffany is blackmailing Mike. So that was the whole, we realize she's not as innocent as she appears. A couple of times, Officer Bloom, this poor thing, like, she's an officer, but for some reason I felt badly for her. I mean, there's no reason why. I don't know if it's just because she kept getting like all the short end jobs where it's like, hey, there's this sort of thing, go see if that's actually true or not. But she mentions that Tiffany was a spoiled brat, and you're going, okay, but like, can you give me an example? Like, you wanted more information. Like, you hear a couple of things, but there's not really any concrete evidence of that. So, I mean, I didn't brush off Officer Bloom, but I kind of wanted her to elaborate, which she didn't. So it wasn't until we find out she's actually doing that where you're like, oh, wait a second, she's not as pristine as maybe you're supposed to imagine she is.
Yeah. And I think that was real.
She was a straight up blackmail doc on her computer. She labeled the file blackmail. Like, that was great.
I felt like when we got more about Tiffany, I mean, it just sucks because you get it like after she's gone. But that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm thinking like it's somebody and it's like not this person. Like, it felt like that was strategically done to like throw me off. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe it's not the husband. Like, maybe I need to rethink this a little bit.
I mean, I was kind of wondering, because when we find out that she's doing the blackmail, part of me was wondering if she wanted to blackmail so that she could hire an editor for her book so that she can go off and live her dream or something. I kind of wanted like a couple follow-up sentences about it, because she's obviously blackmailed wrong. Like, I'm not giving her a free pass on that, but I kind of felt like there was more to her doing the blackmail, like the husband controlling her money, her finances, who she's talking to, what her options are. I was just kind of curious. Yes, she's blackmailing, but like what the next step for her kind of plan was. Because obviously when she's talking to Mikki at the very beginning of the book, she's like, oh, money's no option. And like, she just totally brushes that off. So I was kind of wondering if the blackmail money played into that in a way, like, oh, maybe she's trying to like live her dream and move beyond this situation. Like, I'm not saying blackmail. I'm not allowing that. I'm just saying, like, maybe she was trying to do more with it than just escape the husband. I feel like there was more to that story. Like, I wanted her to have her own little, I don't know what I wanted.
Mystery in the mystery.
Like, she needed to have a chapter from her point of view or something. Like, we need to find her journal to have her explain herself or something. Like, I was really intrigued. Like, I wanted more information about Tiffany, which is nice. Like, if you want more information, that means, if the author has you wanting more, they're doing something right.
What did you think about like just how easy they said it was a suicide?
That was one of the things when I kind of went back to kind of skim through with Mike being like, why don't you believe it's a suicide? I mean, that was really sad that the grandmother and the husband both thought suicide was a legitimate possibility. Like, that was a travesty. Your heart goes out to this fictional character. Like, I know you just blackmailed someone, but I feel bad for you, Tiffany.
And then even the police, and I was like, okay, I know that these people have money. So are the police just like, well, they're saying it's suicide and they would believe she would do this, so we're not going to investigate. I was like, if Mikki wouldn't have started investigating, then it would have just been that.
So what did you think about, I was going to say, this is the other thing, but I was going to say, this is my other murder, she wrote note. Detective Hazlitt, because it's Dr. Hazlitt in Cabot Cove. Detective Hazlitt, like, what did you think of him then? Because you're talking about the police element.
You know what? Usually I don't like the police in the book. Just because we're on the sleuth side and like the sleuth's getting on their nerves. But he wasn't, I feel like I didn't like see him that much for him to like bother me like they typically do. But I do feel like Mikki did a lot of work for him. Like the beginning.
I was going to say, without her, he wouldn't have had, I mean, he had the story, but without her, he wouldn't have had the other additional documents.
Yeah.
The research, the blackmail file.
Yeah. I mean, her just being like, okay, if she's like, why would my card be, you know, I think was her card dry? Like she had her business card. Yeah. It was dry, right?
It was not, it was, you could tell, it looked like it had been through the wash, and so she's going like, was this on her person? Like if she's going to be going swimming, like she's not going to have a business card in her swimsuit.
On her, right. I was like, yes. I was like, she did a lot of work. I mean, he tried to like dismiss her and stuff like that, which I think is typical, but I like that he wasn't on the page as much as they typically are.
I mean,
more of him, you know, like later on.
I thought it was great when she's like, you have to call Detective Hazlitt when her house got broken into and the other cops show up. She's like, I don't want you. I want him. She's like placing a request. I'm like, can she do that with the police? Like, can you request to investigate?
I loved when she decided, like, I'm going to give him the hard drive, but not right now. I was like, at least she's going to do it, you know, now that she found it. It felt so intentional. Like, you have the heart. They're asking you if you have anything extra, and you're like, no. And she wasn't lying. She didn't think she did. And then she finds it. And I was like, did this girl like leave this with her on purpose? Like, let me get somebody neutral involved because I feel like something's going to happen.
That's why I wanted like a journal entry or something, because I was so curious about that. Because I thought it was really, you could tell this writer like knew her stuff. She was talking about like how the manuscript is supposed to be formatted, and she mentions a couple of times how she thinks Tiffany's naive when it comes to the writing industry about, you know, agents who want, you know, reading fees for their works and stuff. And so maybe we're supposed to think she was naive to include her research, but to have the thumb drive in there, I felt as if she had a reason to have it in there. I don't think that was just her being like, you know, I'm a type A personality, have all my documents while you edit. I mean, I didn't really get that vibe from it because, again, she had the folder with blackmail on it. Like, why else? That wasn't in the story. There was no blackmail in her book. So clearly for her to have that in I love that it was named black. Like, that's why when I saw that comment, I was like, my mind just was blown with that. I'm like, you just literally labeled your blackmail. Yeah.
Call it what it is, right?
Like, you couldn't even do like just a capital B and an M or something, or like, you know, BM, like maybe even the guy's initials or something. Like it was just blackmail. She literally wrote it out for you. I mean, but to have that on the thumb drive and have it not be password protected, I think that, like, I'm with you on that. Like, there might have been a sort of like, my husband is dangerous, here we go. Like, just a little something.
I feel like something is going to happen. Oh gosh. Okay. Alicia said she doesn't mind the sleuth doing investigations, but they usually portray the police as naive and unable to solve the crimes without them. That is true. I do feel like she was brushed off a lot. I was glad in this one the police were off the page, so to speak. Yeah, I like that, because that's like one thing that makes them really intense for me is I'm like, okay, you're kind of overstepping your boundaries, like let law enforcement do their thing, but there's stuff that like they're not gonna catch, you know? Like, so I just like that we got to see Mikki very kind of casually find
that was why I was looking down at the notes, because the security guard who tells her she's trespassing, gives her a rough time. He tries to run her down, or at least in the very least scare her into thinking that she's about to be killed. So this guy, he apparently goes off the main road into the grass so you can see the tracks. But it's a he said, she said situation. I'm going, but there are tracks there. Like, you can what? And then there's also a semi-witness where this lady finds her on the ground, you know, flustered and everything else. But like, the cops don't actually do anything to the security guard. He kind of just gets off scot-free, like with a warning. So I'm not really giving her town cops, you know, any gold badge, like, you know, gold stars, like, oh, great job. Like, I'm not doing that right now.
I know.
A lot. Like,
I think what's so cool is like, I guess kind of like her editing job is just like the book is a mystery itself. And then you're seeing her like kind of break down the elements of like what's going to make the mystery sell. I loved it. I need to know like what's the next book that she's going to be editing. Like, is it a romance novel? Is it going to be another mystery?
Well, I saw the reference to, again, I keep wanting to call him Dr. Hazlitt because I'm like, murder she wrote. But Detective Hazlitt, when she ever said, oh, if this was a romance novel, I would be blushing as the heroine. I'm going, I was like, my hostess, my guest host, Lemon, she's gonna like that reference. With the romance reference in there. For some reason, I love that. I was like, oh, cute. Because she mentions he even has like a little dimple chin.
I forgot, like, what is she mentions the genres that she mostly like reads or edit, and it wasn't romance, but she does have the friend who writes romance. Yeah. So I'm like, I just want to see like the rest, and then as the series progresses, like what she finds herself editing.
Well, because I made a note. So there are 3 books in the series, and I totally felt as if it comes back around. So the 3rd book, do you want me to tell you who the murder victim is for the 3rd book? Because it's it's literally in the book blurb, like it's right on the back. Like when I went to Goodreads, it's the first it's the first sentence. This isn't a spoiler.
No spoilers.
So Tiffany's husband is the victim in book 3. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, Tiffany's book is still relevant. Like, I'm like, can we find out if it's published? Can we find out if someone ghostwrites it? I'm like, now I actually want to go read book 2 and 3 to find out what happens to Tiffany's book. Because I'm like, if her husband is still in the series, Tiffany, by being joined with him, is still in reference.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think I kind of want to
get more Tiffany answers.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, can we find out what happens? Just for her memory, like, please publish her book. Like, I'm just rooting for her.
We want more Tiffany.
Like, I know she wasn't perfect, but like our heroine wasn't perfect either. I mean, I gotta admit, like, I was very surprised when the author kind of included her teenage backstory. I mean, she was a peeping Tom when she was a kid, and she was a kind of a bully to Anne, who was the maid. I mean, she sent her on a snipe hunt, which is, I mean, I saw that on Cheers. They did that to Frasier. I mean, you send someone on this, quest to go find an animal that does not exist. So
shocked. I was like, usually like, if it's our like main character, they were the nice girl or they were the one that got picked on. I was like, okay, Mikki, you were a mean girl.
I was kind of all of a sudden like, wait a second, did I just read what I thought I read?
Yeah, that was interesting. But it made me think of that movie Hope Floats, where like Sandra Bullock returns home and like she realizes like I was not really that nice to people when I was a teenager.
I mean, I was so surprised that she didn't just flat out acknowledge it. She like owned it. She's like, yeah, I was really cruel to her. And when you find out what she did, you're like, yeah, you really were. Like, were you a mean girl? Like, did Ronnie have a reason to be mad at you? Like, I kind of wanted to know, like, if she had done something to Ronnie to spark that sort of animosity. Because I mean, some of what she said and did wasn't exactly, a misunderstanding. It was just like flat out aggressive.
Yeah. And I mean, even after all this time, people like, they don't forget how you make them feel. So they still remember.
Well, that was the thing that I kind of thought was super relatable. I mean, she just had her 50th high school reunion, but yet, those people 50 years later, they're still the same high school cutout that like she remembers. Like the people they were in high school, like that is who you will forever be in like your other like classmates' mind. Like that's just who you are.
Yeah. No, I love how she kept saying she needed to make friends. Yes.
I thought it was cute how she kind of fell into that friendship like Darlene so easily that they just sort of like, you know, like no time had passed. 50 years later, they're still like, kind of similar. Like they could just pick up where they left off. That was cute to me. But then she couldn't. The lady was like the one time she tried to socialize, like she chose the wrong lady to socialize with, like the town gossip who shows up late, left her with the bill. I'm like, maybe you should just stick with Darlene.
It just shows that like navigating friendships, regardless of the age, can be hard.
I mean, I remember Googling, so because I'm originally from Massachusetts and I live in DC, and I remember like how to make friends as an adult, and, like typing it into Google, but like they auto-filled the thing. Like I was not the first person to Google that. like that's what I thought of. Like she clearly was like she knew the area, the location, but she didn't know the people in the location. I mean, she was kind of an outsider, even though she knew to some degree, which I thought was an interesting kind of way to play it. Like I liked how she even said with the cops, like, yeah, he doesn't know me. He wasn't born yet when I was here. Like she was an outsider.
Oh my gosh. I loved her. Oh, it was so fun. This was a good pick.
I was just looking down. I love how like I'm not even looking at the notes. I'm like, yeah, we talked about this. We talked about that. I mean,
I've been waiting to talk about it. I was just like, I love Mikki. Like, I need to talk about her.
Oh, okay. One character, or I'm gonna go with character. Okay. Cal. One of the scenes I totally related to was when the house was broken into. She was looking for her cat, and I'm going, that's how I would be with Max. Like I would be like, I don't care about my laptop. Like, where's my baby? Like running for the dog. Like I was like, oh, thank you. I thought the cat was adorable.
I love cats and cozies because, I mean, even in real life, they're so independent and like they're such a character of like them. Like you belong to them. That's how cats feel to me in books. Like take it or leave it. Like I run the world. You're just like my human. And I loved her cat.
I mean, I thought it was so cute how, because I talked to my dog like he understands me and will respond. I'm looking over there because after he jumped off my lap, he had to go hide the treat, even though he finished it. I'm not going to question that. I'm just going to go with it. So like I talked to this little guy like he understands every word, and I will do the same thing that she did in the book, where like I'll ask a question even though I know he's not going to respond. Like I totally related to that so hard. And I thought from like a writerly perspective, that was really brilliant because you're getting her thoughts without having that inner monologue. Yeah. So she had fun with it. So it wasn't just, oh, let's do like the Mrs. Dalloway and have, you know, or I'm looking at this now, I'm doing that. Like, no, we're talking to the cat.
Yeah. Somebody's listening.
I mean, I was so concerned about that little. As soon as you saw the door was open in the book, you're like, "Is Cal okay? Did they steal the cat? Did she run away?" I mean,
that whole breakdown was kind of intense for me. I was like, I don't know why I didn't expect this to happen, but I didn't expect this to happen.
I mean, as soon as what was it? I forgot his name. Like the husband's goon at one point was going to kick the cat, and I'm like, how dare you? Like you are like again. Like I think this guy would totally be the killer. Like he didn't kill Tiffany, but like he killed somebody. Like you do not hurt the animal and cozies. Like not okay.
You do not play with animal harming in books. Okay, that's a no.
No. Like I literally was reading that, and like again, Max was asleep by my feet, and I was like, no, I need to give you a hug now because I need to like you're okay.
Crystal bought up when the cat flooded the kitchen. I was driving when I was like listening to that part, and I was like, wait, who flooded the kitchen? And I had to rewind it. I was like, the cat.
I thought that was so funny because again, you usually think cats and water, they don't want it, but she's like, no, we want the water coming out of the faucet. She wants to drink from the faucet. And I'm going, okay, this is like Max. Like this is a little prima donna cat. Like he's my little prince and he knows it. Like this cat is like, I'm the queen of this house. If I want water, I am getting my water.
Oh, he threatened Darlene's dog too. Yeah. Oh.
That was the animal he was going to kick. Oh, that was what it was. I mean, yeah, he didn't like the cat when he went to her house, but that was what it was. I'm like, you do not harm animals and cozies. Like, you just no. If you do, like, that person better be the killer, too. Like, that person better go down. Can't do it.
I loved it. I loved it. So, I mean, Is this one of, I mean, how many like writer cozies have you read, do you think?
I think that there have been a fair amount. I mean, I always love, it's so funny too, right? Because I love baking cozies because I can't bake. Whereas when it comes to, I think, writer ones or reader ones, you have that kind of foundational knowledge as a reader or someone who's, studied the, writing craft. I mean, so it's a little different. I feel as if I can pick up on things like, oh, I relate to that. Or that's why I'm like, oh, well, did she have a certificate? Like, I kind of wanted more insight. Whereas if you tell me you're baking cupcakes, I'm like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm just going with it. So I want to say I've probably read a handful. I mean, as I'm looking over there, I mean, I think Julia Buckley's writing retreat one is great, but there's also a few others. I mean, I also just finished the Alison Brooks one where there's the librarians. I just with Carrie, which was really cute. I'm trying to think what other writing ones off the top of my head. Have you read a lot or no?
No, this is like besides the Julia Buckley, this is it. That's why I was like, okay, what else is out there? Because it's just something about like writer story. I love it in romance too. Like it's just like my catnip. I don't know why. And I was wondering, like, are you able to like read them and take like the writer brain off? Like you are like, I feel like with baking cozies, they're like kind of an escape and it's like delicious food descriptions. But like when you're reading a book like this and she's like editing a book, is your writer brain on?
That's what, like, yes and no. I mean, that's also why, like, I also think Mikki is a little bit more critical, and this is also why I think I would have a very difficult time editing, is because like I would just I have like this thing where like I just want to give you like my heart and my like give you my everything, where I'm like I would never have the heart to be like, oh, your book is like terrible, we will not publish it. Like Mikki was very much like, no, like she has this problem, this problem, this problem. And I was like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like in a corner crying. like she just was like gloves off. Like I think that she's also different. Again, he's barking at something. I apologize. I think that she shows like one type of editor or one type of, person in that profession, whereas there are others who are more, I was going to say easygoing and like, okay, like let's try and do this. Let's do that. Yeah. Let's see if like another treat will calm him down. He's underneath the bed too, so I can't even like grab this little guy. He's hiding the other treat.
Elle said writer brain never turns off. I believe that.
I was going to say, yeah, I saw, you guys are going to get to see, I'm wearing the pajama bottoms. I'm wearing my little cozy shirt. It says cozy season. So it says cozy season, but I'm wearing pajamas. So if I stand up and grab the books, you're probably going to see the little pink. So I have the Julia Buckley ones right over here. But then I also there are a whole bunch of books that I think are really great. So I think because originally at one point I was going to be able to interview Julia Buckley, but the timing, I remember this was probably like a year ago almost now. I still need to, probably should follow up with her again. My computer had crashed, so I wasn't able to do the live stream that day. So I just reread the entire series. So I'm full, 5 stars, fully recommend this series. I was going to say, which one's the first book?
The one with the car, driving up the driveway.
So I was going to say I grabbed all of them except the first one. So her Writer's Apprentice Mystery Series, the series, it will look like this. I will totally recommend this. And then I think there are also ones that include references to writing or just people like writers. So we all read this one, Last Pen Standing, and I'm like, I think writers love notebooks and stationery. So you just relate to this one, even though it's not writerly. As soon as she opens a stationery shop, and you're like, I am here for this.
All notes and pens. I'm gonna buy it.
Exactly. Even other things even bookstores too, because I feel like all readers are writers. Or writers are readers, excuse me. So even ones when it comes to bookstores, I feel like you still are got your little writer mentality going. So I think there are a lot of ways to kind of incorporate, people who want to be authors with the reader life and cozies. So as I hold up this one too, I'm like, this one's cute.
I love one of my favorite cozies is Crime and Poetry.
I
love those books. They will fall off the shelf, and they're the bookstore is helping Violet and Grandma Daisy solve the murders, and I love it.
So you just reminded me as I put the notebook down, and I'm looking around I had the book, and I know I got distracted by Max. It's over there. I'm gonna grab it. And so Farm to Trouble came out today, and so someone who comments tonight is gonna win the first book in her new cozy series.
Let's see. Yeah, A Dark and Stormy Murder. That's it. That's it. I love that one.
I'm also looking like, oh, what other cozies can I like hold up to? Like this one's brighter light.
Oh my God, there's
I don't know what
bookshops. Oh, I downloaded ℻𝕦𝕟𝕚𝕪. I don't know if it was a bookshop series. We could pull that up. Oh, that's cute.
You already took the treat. What do you want?
That is so pretty.
So thanks to Poison Pen Press, one person is going to win this book. What are you upset about? You have everything.
Oh, Max.
Yes, I was going to say, I just saw someone comment, the plot is murder. I have that over there too. ℻𝕦𝕟𝕚𝕛 Burns. She's phenomenal. She is such a talented writer. I love her books. Hey, oi, Mister.
I love it, little Max, our little sleuth dog.
Hey, come here.
Who is the Broken Spine by? Tracy. I love it. I love it. I love seeing Amanda Flower Love. I love her.
I figure I might as well just grab her books as I'm down here trying to like.
Okay. I need the third one. I have never seen it in the bookstore. I need to stop being lazy and order it. Hey, what's the this is same topic but off topic. It's like it's like a ghost series, and now I'm blanking on the title. Something or
so this is the other one that you're talking about before, ℻𝕦𝕟𝕚𝕛 Burns.
Okay.
This book is amazing. I'm like 5 out of 5 stars. I love this book. So talented. And then these were the Amanda Flowers. I love her. She's my auto-buy author.
The cat.
She's my auto-buy. Like, will always recommend. A lot of times now when people DM, they're like, oh, do you have any recommendations for getting into cozies? I'm like, yes, I do. Here you go.
I think that's such a good one to start with. It's like New York. I love how like I think it's book 1. Like Grandma Daisy's the suspect.
She also has like others. This woman is so prolific. I'm like, she probably doesn't know we're talking about her right now, but I'm like, she has all these books. Like the Amish one, she has this one for matchmaking. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you are so, I mean, she writes across the board. As I'm looking at the cover, I'm like, she writes different settings, different characters, like bow down. She is cozy queen. She's incredible.
She published one for Hallmark last year, and I thought it was really good. I hope she keeps publishing them too.
Well, this is the latest. So one lucky person is going to win this one. So comment. This was, so this was on my like the TBR for the longest time. And it's still like one of those, I still need to read it because I know I'm going to want to just sit down and just read it entirely. Like I'm not going to want to get up. I'm just going to want to enjoy it. Like, cause that's how it is with her, like for her books and me. And then, cause you're talking about, books with writers. So again, Kate Carlisle, she is probably most famous for the house renovation. I'm totally blanking on the name. Jewel in Hallmark is the actress for the series. So she also has this one as well. I was gonna say she has another series as well that has to do with being bibliophiles and loving books. So I just wanted to grab this one to give that a little shout out. And then Harper Kincaid, she is always popping up over on the Twitter and the Instagram. Charming When Tipsy is her handle. This one, she's a book doctor, so to speak, where like the character is fixing books. It's incredible with that. You're like, oh my gosh, we're preserving literature. This is great. So I just wanted to grab this one and give a little shout out to Kill a Mockinggirl.
Kill a Mockinggirl. I love it.
Cover. That's why I'm like, okay, even if it's not about writers or, getting the words on the page, again, like I feel, all writers have this love of literature. So I'm like, this is relatable. Like this one is too. As I made a mess, I'm going to grab this book and then this book. They're all right there too, within arm's reach.
I'm trying to think of the one that I know her last name is ℼ𝕬𝕚𝕚𝕚. I think it's it's a book club series. I'm blanking on the title. I only have 3 of the books. I love those. I'm getting into the book club series type cozies. I haven't read them yet. And they're really hard to find. And then I really like home renovations, like when they're haunted.
That was the one I was trying to. I was like, I know. I'm like, she's renovating all the houses. For some reason, you gotta love how like I was teetering on the title, but I just wasn't.
Well, I know, like I have one series. It's by Juliet Blackwell, but the other one is like E.J. Copperman or Cunningham something. I never see them in the bookstore, so I literally only have one book and it's on Kindle. But like, I want more home renovation, and then like the skeleton series.
Leah Perry. That you gotta love how like I'm right on that one. I'm like, I know exactly which one you're talking about with that.
I love it.
I mean, as I look over, like I have this sort of funky looking bookcase. I'm like, I have all my Christmas ones over there, but I have like a lot of baking cozies. Like I'm pretty sure this is just all food related cozies over there.
So how is the ℼ𝕦𝕟𝕚𝕚𝕚 baking series?
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I think it's really cute because she kind of, it was so funny. She because I commented and she's like, that's what I was going for. I was like, this gives me Gilmore Girl vibes. And she goes, that's exactly what I wanted. So as soon as she said that, I was like, okay, I'm here for the Gilmore Girls. Like, yep, me and my coffee. I mean, when it comes to baking, Hannah Swenson is my girl. Joanne Fluke, like, I mean, Kensington picked it up. I mean, I'm always going to be like a Hannah girl. And she's going to go to.
Yeah, I read the first book in that, and I need to go back to it. But it's like, it's kind of a long series. So I'm like,
I was like, I'm trying to remember the title. It's what is it? Salt, sugar and spice, or it's something about the spices. Leslie Budowitz, she has a series that's food related. Again, a phenomenal writer. Totally wholeheartedly recommend her books. Maddie Day has a series where she, has a lot of food in it. Yeah. So I was going to say Leslie Budowitz is another one where like, I kind of think she's not like slips through the cracks because she's won the Agatha Award. Like she's a well-known author, but like, she doesn't always get like the credit she deserves with that. I'm like, that is a phenomenal series. Like shout out to Leslie. Like, I'm like, if she's not on your TBR, like you might want to pencil it a little bit.
Somebody mentioned Julianne Lindsay, and yes, I read the first book in, is it Apple Cider Slang?
Yep.
I loved that book.
I don't know what this little guy wants.
Oh, a beer series? The Spice Shops Mysteries. Okay.
Thank you. I knew how to do you gotta live home like, is it sugar? Is it spice? Like, what is it? Wow. And then I was trying to just think, well, Amanda Flower, when she has her Amish series, they're making candy. Like, it's still kind of baking. Like, I'm there for that.
A Salt and Pepper. Oh, I love this title.
It's super cute. She has a whole bunch of, she has a lot of fun. There's one, it has to do with chai. Chai is in the title. I'm trying to remember the pun, but every time I hear it or I see it, it always makes me smile. Cleo Coyle. Oh my gosh. I signed up for the Audible Plus. I'm going back to the beginning because I want to go through her entire coffee house series. Like that is one of my things for this year. That is on my like goal for like go through the entire one, because now that I have the audio, like for some reason though, the first 3 books you gotta buy, but then the rest of them are included. So I'm gonna buy the first 3 and then I'm there. So I am there for Cleo Coyle because I started reading her series, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and I read the first 2 books, and then I just got busy or just didn't follow up. So now I just want to start from the beginning and just keep going.
I want to read that one.
It was a good book. And I think what she does that's super great and different is her characters are sort of in the city. So it's not the small town cozy, but she makes a small town feel. And that was one of the things I remembered from the first book. And I think has come up with, talking to other cozy authors, they'll sort of cite her. And if you go on Wikipedia, like her series is referenced under Cozy Mysteries. And then if you go on the cozymysteries.com website over there, whatever it's called, she's got some of the top books up there. So she's one of the queens of cozies where, she's kind of pretty high.
Yeah, I liked Jen McKinley has a hat shop series, and the heroine's from America, but she goes to like, I think London. And I was like, oh, it's like a big city cozy. It just felt really different. And I think it's the only one I've read that like wasn't in the States. And
it totally just reminded me. I'm blanking on the character's name, but Elementary she read by Vicky Delaney. I'm pretty sure the character is British. And then she comes to America and she's trying to get the British slang. in with the American vernacular. I'm going, this is interesting, but you just totally remind me of that. And again, she owns a Sherlock themed bookstore. So for all our, bibliophile friends over there, another good one. I got Vivian Chen right over there. She's an auto buy for me. I love her.
Noodle shop. I've seen those. I've seen like that. I saw one that's like PTA. I was like,
yeah, I got that over there too. I got all these books over there. I'm like, and you got this one, you got that one. I mean,
the history section in the bookstore is like so dangerous. So dangerous.
It's also so colorful. Like it is just eye-catching, and the titles, again, they just make you smile. You just want to pick them up. I mean, this is the thing. So when you get on those ARC lists, Kensington will be like, which ones do you want of this list? I'm like, I'm like, the list? I'm like, I don't want to be greedy, but like like this one, I would never be like, I want the entire list, but every single time I'm going every single title. I'm like, that looks so good. And then I have to kind of take a breather and go, okay, be a good girl. But every single time I'm like, I want all of them. Because they always
I think they're fun to read all year, but like my favorite time, like the one, like I will save ones I'm really excited for to read in the fall, because I just feel like they are perfect for the fall season.
Yep. I mean, so I think it's called Pink Lily. That's where I got my cozy season shirt, and the one I wore last time, it said stay cozy. They have one that says, autumn, blankets, fireside, coziness. And like, that's exactly what it is for fall season. You want to put on your Uggs, have your chai latte with your pumpkin scone, and just enjoy the cozy reading. Like, that is what that is to me. This is why we get along. Like, I'm like, we were on the same like mindset wavelength. Like,
we're there. Oh, thinking of like kind of food. It's I don't know if this is the only series they put out, but it's B.B. Haywood's like a blueberry series set in Maine. I hauled all those books at one time because I was like, I have all of them. I'm gonna get them.
I just realized where the other ones were. I just realized the first book, for some reason, here's the first book. It was behind me. I put the cozies over there behind me, but they were in shot. This was the first one, but and then this was the Cleo Coyle. She does her holiday. Like, I also love it when they do the Christmas cozies. Those always make me happy, because that also to me feels like you're going from the autumn into the winter, and it's still got the cozy vibes. Like, it just carries over. But the reason I remembered was because you just reminded me. What is it called? Bait and Witch. There's the. I love the titles, but there was one because you made me think of the subcategory, the garage sale mysteries.
Oh wow!
Before the college admission scandal issues arose, we had our Lori Loughlin Hallmark series. So the books are still coming; they're still great. I don't know where my little tangent digression came with that, but that sort of just jumped out of my head with that one. But you had me thinking that because of Hallmark.
Where's the one with the cat? The cat that was trying to get the book.
Oh yeah. So, and we also have Real Murders, Aurora Teagarden Hallmark. She's always making new books. Gotta love how I'm like, there's all these books.
Okay, Bait and Witch. That made me think of what's the one that takes place in Savannah and it's like a magical something shop. Oh my gosh, I don't know what the author's name is. It's like almost like a 10-book. Yes. What's that?
I don't think it's this one, but I was like, I'm like, this one. I'm trying to remember which one's set in Savannah.
I think it's like a witch series too. I think she finds out like she moves there and she finds out she's a witch.
Oh, is this Heather Blake? Heather Blake. I think
I'm just thinking of the series that I have on my shelves Bailey Cates. That's it.
We read that book. We read the first book in that series. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to have to go back and like reread all the books that we already read. Brownies and Broomsticks. That's what it is. As it's on the floor. As I'm looking down, like, yes, it's right there. Oh, Nancy J. Cohen. She's awesome. I was so happy when I got to speak with her. She wrote her Killer Hair series. I was going to say, just throwing out like a random subgenre. That would make, the beauty salon.
I think I only have one from this series, but it's Carol Perry, and it's like hot, like it's Salem, Massachusetts. I think she's like a newscaster or something like that.
I feel like we read one at one point for the book club.
Oh,
him and his treat. He really is trying to. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what that was. I don't know where that treat ended up. I was going to say
Ireland. I have Liz Ireland's Christmas one that came out last year.
You totally just got me. I saw the Nancy Coco one. Death Becomes Her. That's also great.
I love that. It makes me think of the movie with Mary.
Max. Come here. Max.
Yeah, I want to read Carol Perry too. I have the first book, but I haven't read.
Oh, I know what it is. He knocked over one of the bookends. Max. Okay.
So how are you? Oh, do you already have the winner for tonight picked out, or are you?
Hey, Max. I was like, every time I go to talk, he's like, I'm gonna bark. So what I'm gonna do is every single time, hey, Max, hey, he's behind. He just ran behind the bed, and I can't reach him, so I can't even go grab him to give him a hug to like settle him down. So what I'm gonna do is every single comment, I'm gonna once the video renders, I'm gonna write down everyone's name for every single comment, and then randomly select the 2 winners. So one person is gonna win the Long Island Iced Tea book, and another is gonna win Farm to Trouble. I don't know what he wants. He's hidden the tree. Max, come here.
Brownie and broomsticks.
Yeah, so I have that one on the floor, and then the other one you had me think of was It Takes a Witch. That's why I said Heather Blake.
I love that cover.
But yeah, so I was gonna say, if there's any other thoughts you guys had about crime and punctuation, I love how I was like, let's just talk about the cozies. I was like, was there anything else before we like? You're so adorable though. Like I don't even look down at my notes when it comes to you. We're just having the conversation.
I'm just so excited to talk about it and about cozies because I don't ever really get to talk about cozies. So this was fun.
Well, now you just talk about romance. Like that's what you do now. Like that's what you are. You're the romance woman.
I love it. But I have so many. If I find a series that I'm interested in and like all the books are out, then I have to buy them all. Because like sometimes, Barnes and Noble, they'll have like the first 3 books and then no books in the middle and then book 10 and 11 and 12. So I'm like, if I see them, I have to get them. So I'm trying to do better at reading all the series that are on my shelves this year.
I mean, I will admit, I think when it comes to cozies, part of me is always like, I want to start with book 1. I never want to pick up a book in the middle of the series. The one time I've done this thus far was literally, a month or so ago. It was Lethal and Lace. It was book 5, but it was the only one available in the audio subscription with Amazon. Usually though, I only read the first book. So like when I go to the bookstore and I see, oh, this is book 10 and they don't have any other, they don't have book 1, I'm going, okay, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. So I think that is somewhat problematic for me in my cozy reading, because when you go to the bookstore, they don't have, books 1 through 12, or if it was Hannah Swenson, that would be like an entire, like 2 bookshelves right there. So, I mean, they don't do that. So I think that might be one of like the drawbacks for me when it comes to trying to, stay on top of your cozy reading, because every so often you'll see a book come out in a series and it's, the 7th one, it looks awesome. And you're going, I haven't read books 1 through 6 though.
Yeah. And I have done really good. Like if it's a romance, I'll jump into the series wherever, because it usually you don't miss out on too much. But with cozy mysteries, I'm nervous. I'm like, if I pick up like book 6 before book 1, I just feel like I'm going to have missed something.
You're playing catch up. And I know, because this is the thing too, right? When it comes to cozies, that I think is great with this, this subgenre of mysteries, is that every author tries to make it so you can read each book as a standalone. But I do think you miss out on details when you pick up the next book in the series, like when you pick up book 5 instead of reading books 1 through 4. So with that book, Lethal and Lace, the guy she ends up with, he literally proposes to her in the first couple of pages, but then you find out he was her ex-husband's divorce lawyer, and you're going, there's a story there that I totally just missed out on. Like, I need to go read books 1 through 4 now. So that was like, you could pick it up and understand, but you didn't have the full context. So I did feel like I was missing out.
Yeah.
A little sad.
Oh,
I'm like, all the comments are popping up. It's so hard to keep track of them all. You guys are amazing. I love this book. You guys are so cute.
Are there still used paperback bookstores?
I don't know. Well, I mean, they do exist, obviously, but I mean, with COVID, I don't know how many of them are still opening their doors right now.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah, here we have like half-price books, and they're open back up, and that's nice to see. I was really worried about used bookstores for the longest. It's nice to see that they're still open.
No, I think that was one of the things with COVID where there are a lot of really great secondhand bookstores, but it's really hard when, you know, you're trying to keep your doors open, but people don't want to go out. People are staying in. I mean, the amount of ebooks that are being read, I mean, in 5 years from now, when they release all the numbers, I think it's going to be fascinating to be looking at, you know, the spikes that occur with different genres and authors. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, as long as people are getting books, like that's also the other thing too. I see people saying yes, I'm one of those people who are like, however you get books, whether it's through the library, you want to listen to them on, you know, through audio or whatever. I'm just happy when people are reading the books.
Yeah, that is one thing that I miss. Like my library is doing, like I can check out stuff online and then I go pick it up, and they give me a specific time. I have to call them when I'm outside. They'll set it on the table and I have to just go. And I'm like, I just want to come in and walk around so bad.
You give me so you give me like this sort of like wanderlust feeling, because this woman, I don't know what your cafe system, like I don't know what cafes you visit, but her coffee houses, her pictures are phenomenal. And I got this longing because the coffee houses in my area, I'm just not like, I don't leave my apartment that much. Like I hardly ever leave. And so I haven't actually gone to a cafe and just sat down just to take, you know, pictures, you know, read the book, take some photos. Like I haven't done any of that in the longest time. And then I see your photos. I'm like, I miss going to coffee writing.
I was miserable. Like when COVID first kicked off and like everything was closed, I was miserable. Cause like as a mom, going to the coffee shop is like the one thing that I do by myself. And so once they started opening back up, like you can't enter without a mask. They only let like so many people in. And I go like right when they open before they get busy. So I'm like, that's just become my system. Like if they open at 8, I'm going to be there at 8. Yeah. I'm usually the person in there for like 30 minutes. And it's just nice. I love it.
I see those photos and I'm just like the longing that I feel when I see them. I'm like, I miss those days.
Because I didn't realize it. Like one of my friends was like, you know, she's like, you need to keep posting them because not a lot of places, coffee shops are open. And I was like, I didn't think that. And I was like, you know what? You're right.
The one that I went to that was my favorite in my area, they don't have, it was always a very small sit down area, and it was Wi-Fi free. So you weren't supposed to have your computer open. It was just meant to sit there, have conversations, or just sit there and read and just enjoy the moment. And so again, as someone who always feels like my brain is always going, like it is ridiculous. It's very hard for me to relax. So I would go there because I knew I couldn't open the computer, and I would just had to, you know, sit there and enjoy the coffee or make my little notes or whatever. And so now you can just go and get your coffee and leave. They don't have the sit down options. So when I see your photos, I'm like, oh, I miss the days.
Do you do a lot of writing, like out and about?
Well, I mean, I think part of that too, with that process at least, was, you know, I've been working on this dissertation for the longest time. And again, there's been some more recent hurdles, which I will not divulge fully. Like once this process is finally done, it's going to be like, I'm going to be running around. I'll be posting videos, being much more, you know, involved. It's been
academic life.
But that was the whole thing though too, right? Like, you know, for me, it was getting away from the dissertation and being able to like turn that part of my brain off and not worry like, oh, I got to be, you know, doing the lit review. I got to be researching this. I got to be reading this, you know, article. I got to be reading that book that someone recommended. So for me, a lot of it was like getting away from the work, because my apartment, like it is ridiculous. I got my office and there's just academic books. I mean, my dissertation is on the romance genre fandom. So I have like all these tabs and stuff in the office, and I have to close the door at night. Like I have to close the door so I like don't see the books with all the notes. Otherwise, I'm like, I should be
add anything in since Bridgerton happened.
I mean, well, at this point, I mean, I'm probably gonna be able to add a few more things because the process is, again, hurdles. So before the final, version is submitted, I'm probably gonna add a couple paragraphs at least, because Julia Quinn, I mean, this woman, I mean, you got to bow down to this talent. I mean, she definitely was able to create something, and that series came out at the perfect time for people with Netflix, like wanting the happily ever afters, wanting the positivity. I don't think I can ignore that, because a lot of what I'm saying in the dissertation is why people are reading romance, and people want the positivity, and like that's exactly what we're going to let people have. So I mean,
what everything that you've been working on is kind of leading up to, like, and here we go, perfect example.
Well, it's so great when I wrote something and, like, again, it hasn't been put out into the world yet, and I'm like, and someone else just said this. I was like, you should have just let me submit this to the library now. Thank you. I'm like, I'm again trying to smile through the pain, like not bitter grapes. Like, I'm just happy, like it's getting its due. Like the fandom is getting, the recognition, the credit. I mean, that's all I really cared about to start with anyway. Like my project started with the stigmatization of the genre. So I mean, if we can help eliminate that at all, that's great. I'm not gonna be upset that someone else beat me to it. I'm like, yeah, go Bridgerton. do what you're doing right there. Keep going, get that award.
I cannot wait to hear about the finished product, because you've been working on it for a long time.
I mean, at this point, I'm going to be very honest. At this point, I think the final product is probably going to be more reflective of the committee than myself. So after it's done, I'm probably going to come back out with something and post it on either my website or like do some like short blog post or something, and to show like what I was doing and what I originally wanted, because once you have a committee and outside influence, it's really hard to, stay true to your original goals. But I mean, I just love the genre. I love the fandom. I just, wanted to shine a light on it. So again, trying to stay positive. Like there was a reason why I started this study. There's a motivation to finish it for that reason. So this lovely woman. So shout out to Bree, because she was one of the first people I interviewed. Like when you first started Instagram, when you first started BookTube. Again, this is how long I've been working on this dissertation, people. This woman, her Instagram is ridiculous. She has exploded. I interviewed her when she like just started.
I know. That was a while ago.
I was like, that is how long I've been working on this project.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine, Angela. I would be over it.
I mean, that's the thing though too, right? Like I think because I care about what I'm researching, that's why like it's hard to, like, to not give up on it. You're like, yeah, I just want to see this through, because at this point I do have the research. And again, I'm being very honest, like this is something I probably wasn't going to reveal, but like I do think the end product is going to be more representative of the committee than my intentions. But I'm still gonna stick to it. I still think it's worthwhile, and I still am gonna have the data that I gathered, and then I can do with it what I will after the fact. So just gotta see it through.
Yeah.
It hasn't been the easiest process. But I'm gonna see it through. Like, I mean, there have been more recent hurdles that I haven't discussed publicly, and you can probably see like my Instagram and stuff has probably been like less active and whatever. Like I haven't been posting the individual videos that I have been. Like I've just been doing the Cozy Mystery Book Club live streams once a month. Like this is my YouTube life right now, because everything's been so dissertation focused. So I mean, this is part of why I think I enjoy the club too. Like this gives me a break to go read something different, to actually talk to people who love books like I do. I get to step away from everything. So it's just it's wonderful. I love being able to like do this and not have to worry about anything else.
I mean, we're rooting for you, girl. You take the time you need.
I mean, I have to admit, like, I know my mom probably will check out this video at some point. Like, I got to give the family credit, shout out to them. Like, if my parents haven't been so supportive, like, finish it, do what you got to do. Like, that's been a really big deal, because I've had every issue known to man with this program. I've had issue after issue after issue, but like, I'm still here. I'm still gonna get it done. That's all you can do, right? Just keep working, keep chugging along, and eventually, hopefully.
Like you said, it's a topic that you love, and I think that people don't realize that it is something worth studying and like researching and looking into. I mean, there's so many aspects to the genre that one could research and study, and I can't wait to hear what you come up with.
I mean, this is as I'm like smiling, like, oh, one of the things with the literature review. So I'm studying the romance fandom, and a lot of academic studies that have been done have been on the content, not the people consuming content. So again, I'm a communications major. I'm not studying English language. I love my grammar and punctuation, but I'm studying the people. So it's different. And there hasn't been a lot of studies done on the fandom. And so I have a lot of popular references, popular presses or books that were not necessarily academic. So I got dinged for not having any academic citations for the fandom. I'm like, but they don't exist yet. That's why I'm doing this. so some of it has been a little.
Like you had to defend that. Like, this is why I don't have that. Okay.
So it is what it is. So again, like all the more reasons to be like, let me go read a cozy mystery. Like, let me go relax. Let me go this is why I think I love going on the cozy Instagram and seeing what people are posting. I mean, I think there's something about this club where like you guys just brighten my life. Like you make me smile. There's something to it when I see the photos of people with, posting crime and punctuation. I'm like, they posted it. They're reading the book. This is so great. Like I was having a really bad day a couple weeks ago because again, hurdle, won't divulge into that, but it was always great to, again, I got to see the photos. I'm like, they're reading the book. Like, this club matters. So it just, it really does brighten my day in that way.
Yeah.
I not to get emotional.
I was like reposting the pictures that you posted today. And I kind of look at cozies like I do with romance, like anybody who I love people that are like unapologetic about what they love. And I think that anything that is like cozy or, like relaxing that like brings people joy is so easily dismissed. And I was just like, I love what the book club stands for, because it's all about these cozy mysteries, and they're just so fun, and they're a really good escape. I mean, I don't know. I tried to read literary fiction a couple of years ago, and like no shade to it, but it was not an escape. Okay.
No, I mean, even so, again, I'm advocating romance, but I realized, a lot of it is lately like I just want to reread old romances, because every so often you'll pick up a romance, you're like, this is this character's backstory. You're like, oh, okay. Like I picked up a romance novel, and all of a sudden you're like, okay. Like there are a few things that like I'm trying not to, it wasn't a bad thing. It was just all of a sudden the heroine's attacked by a bad guy, and you're like, nothing happens, but it's still on the page. She gets away, but you're like, I didn't want this. Like, I don't need this right now. I'm like, let me go find. That's why, again, I've been reading more cozies. I've been trying to post some of the reviews lately. And so I was like, let me go back to the cozy, or let me go reread this old romance. Like, I want the fun. I want the calm. The other day on Twitter, I didn't comment because, again, I'm not. I read stuff. Sometimes someone said, oh, let's have, more on the page violence with cozies. I'm like, that's not what cozies are.
No.
I'm like, that's not what cozies
I read cozies. I couldn't do too much of the violence. I can't do that.
No. I saw that. I saw the person on Twitter was like, they had this whole thread about maybe having more on the page relationships come to fruition. I'm going, but that's not cozies. I'm kind of like going in after like in my little like pull up the shirt, like I want to hide. I'm like, that's not what cozy mysteries are. So like people who read cozies, you read them for a reason. Like we get it.
Yeah.
So lighthearted. It's a great escape. So. Yeah, you don't want on the page violence. You don't want on the page, like, if you want that, you pick up a different book, a different series, a different, whatever. So I just saw that. I'm going, but my cozies, I'm like, my crew gets it.
And the cool thing, like, so especially if it's like small town cozies, it's like, it's kind of that reminder that even if you live in like the idyllic small town, you never know what's really going on.
I mean, I think it's always kind of nice too, though. Like you always have that validation that justice is served. The bad guy is gonna go to, there's gonna be penance of, I mean, again, usually it's a murder mystery. 99% murder mysteries, they're going to jail, the good triumphs. Your sleuther, who's usually a woman, she has agency, she's being able to do these things. A lot of cozies, they have their own businesses. I mean, I think that there's a lot of positivity in regards to, you know, representation. I mean, even the book we just read tonight, right? You know, she's like, we're not a size 2.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, she said she's twice the woman she used to be. You know, I love it when cozies say like, yeah, we're like, I am a size 12. I'm a size like 18. Like, you know, they're different races, ethnicities. Like, I love what cozies stand for and how they show women and all these different roles. It's just, it's so great. I'm like getting really, you know, like excited, like with the hand motions over here. Like, I love them.
I mean, and 68-year-old sleuth. I mean, I don't remember the last time I read a book with a main character that was 68. I loved Mikki.
No, I mean, it's just, it's, this is what I mean. Like, it's just inspiring to see, like, yeah, she's starting her own business. She, you know, she's doing what she wants to do. Again, she has agency. She's going out there. She goes to the interview too. Like, she's looking into things. She takes it on herself. So I think that's also really sort of inspirational. Like, yeah, like if you want to go do something, you can do it. Maybe not go look into a murder mystery.
Time in life. I mean, at any time in life, you can go for it. I loved that.
I mean, whether you want to be an editor, I mean, I love the ones where, you know, there's, what was it? She was writing a book on the side and she decided to do writing as her, I'm totally blanking, but she wasn't a silver sleuth. She was probably in her 40s, but she's going, no, I'm going to write my book now. I'm going to do this. And so I kind of thought that was really nice. Like, yeah, she's owning her passion.
I love that. I love it. It's never too late. It's never too late.
I mean, I still love Agatha Raisin, like with her TV show. I mean, this woman, that actress, you know, she's kicking butt. I'm going, you know, she's not, you know, 21-year-old size 2. Like, she's beautiful and she's in shape, but like, again, she's older. I think that's great. You know, showing women of different ages instead of being like, we're going to be prim and proper. And, you know, we don't age. We have no lines. We never, you know, you're never beyond the, you know, sample size. So,
Where do you
know,
that? I have never seen it.
Which one? Agatha Raisin? Oh, I mean, she's still beautiful. I mean, she probably is like a size 4, but like, her name's Ashley Jensen, the actress. She's on Acorn TV. So you can get the subscription on Amazon. I think it's $4.99 a month, but a lot of times they'll do like they'll do a lot of freebies where like, oh, you get to try it for 30 days. Okay. And so, yeah, you can probably binge the season. Like, you can binge them very easily. The other one for Acorn TV that I recommend is Queens of Mystery. That is another one showing women of different ages. The main character, she has 3 aunts, and she has one aunt that's a writer. She has another one who's this former rock and roll woman. And then, what's the third one? She's involved. I think she's invested in theater. And so again, like different women, different ages. It's great. I recommend that one too.
Acorn TV. Okay.
Yes. As I'm like nodding, like I've seen that one. I think that there are 6 episodes in total, I'm pretty sure, and it's only 1 season at the moment. So that can be a quick binge, but it's worth it. It's a good one.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up.
As I look down, the thing, love Queens of Mystery. There's also the theme song. Like I tried to find the theme song for iTunes because apparently, like, I'm that person who wants a theme song as. Queens of Mystery is a good show. And I'm like, high five, Stephanie. I'm like, we're on the same page. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. As I look down, I'm just chatting with you. I'm like, all the comments, they're popping up. I mean, you guys are so amazing. Is there something else about the book you guys wanted us to talk about, touch on, whether it's about the book or other books that I grabbed apparently, or Acorn TV? I mean, we also have I don't think you go by the goddess anymore, but it used to be Bree the goddess. As I'm like, no, I got to angle. I'm like, how do I angle this? Be like, Bree the goddess. Any questions for Bree? I mean, any things that, want to pop up before, the end of the night, or I lose my voice, whichever comes first.
I just liked seeing that, like, everybody seemed to like it. That made my day. It was, I like seeing that everybody seemed to like it. Everybody seemed to like Mikki.
I mean, I love that. I was so happy. As I'm trying to remember, like the first one, so it was Killer Chardonnay for last month. And then I love how, like, I'm blanking on January's book right off the top of my head. No, that is January's book. Like, I love how, like, I'm forgetting, like, next month. So Killer Chardonnay was the first one of our 4 books that we read. And everyone loved that one too. And it's so great to see, like, the book club choosing the books. Again, these 4 books were tied. They were recommended again and again and again. And so to see people enjoying the books that they really wanted to read, your heart just has to soar with that. I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like people are enjoying it because
releases coming out that you're excited for, like cozy mysteries coming out this year or like in the next couple months.
Oh, I was gonna say Kensington sent the list, and Kensington is my go-to. I love Kensington. I also love Poison Pen Press. They're amazing. Kensington will send the list of books. That's why I mentioned Kensington right off the bat. So they'll send the list of books. So Ellery Adams has a book coming out April 27th, Murder in the Cookbook Nook. That is one of my new favorite titles. And then Amanda Flower has another one. Again, like you got to bow down to this woman and her talent. She also has one coming out April 27th, Lemon Drop Dead.
She is a beast. Her and Ellery Adams and Ellie Alexander. And like, how do these women sleep at night? They just...
I have no idea. Like, do you sleep?
Without books. Like I'm dozing off, but I just got a book idea, so let me go write it.
I'm trying to remember. There's another one on the list that I remember I saw where I'm going, that looks amazing. I think there was another one. Oh yeah, so yeah, Murder She Edited for our, yeah, so the fourth book is coming out for this series for Crime and Punctuation. It's Murder She Edited, and that's coming out July 27th.
Oh.
So that one's coming out. And then as I'm scrolling down the list, there was one where I'm pretty sure it was the first book in a series where I'm like, oh, I'm going to make note of this. Two Wicked Desserts. There's a Halloween mystery coming out in July, so I might have to put like a little asterisk, like keep this on the list. Yes. Oh, I remember what it was. So Carleen O'Connor, she has Murder in ℻𝕦𝕟𝕚𝕪, and so that one's coming out too. I think that's the third book in her series. She has the Ireland series, and then Murder in a Teacup by Mikki Lincoln.
I got a Carleen O'Connor. It's like a green cover.
Yeah, she wrote the Ireland one. Is it? Yeah, she has a couple.
That's like an Irish. Is it a bookshop? Irish bookshop or something?
I'm trying to remember, but I remember I'm. It's over there somewhere, and the dog is like being weird. So I'm like, if I go try and take that book, I'm like, it's not gonna. We're gonna get barked at again. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of books coming out. Lee Hollis has one, Death of an Italian Chef. That just for some reason, like the titles alone, like you gotta smile. So there are a lot of books coming out to be excited about.
I'm gonna have to keep up with them on NetGalley because they kind of like give me free range with their NetGalley. But I'm like probably the world's worst ebook reader, you guys. But
I don't do NetGalley anymore because I wouldn't be able to read it in time, and my score was going down. Yeah. And so, or because they always try and keep track of who gets access to what and when you post it. So it was one of those. I don't want to be that person who just says like, oh, 4 stars. I just want to get my rating back up. Like I don't want to do that. But
I've had like I will forget, and so then like 4 months down the line, I'll be like, oh, let me get on NetGalley, and it's like 5 reviews that I'm typing up, and I'm like, they are probably like, why do we give this girl access? But I mean, I try, just I'm a little late.
I mean, I don't think they put expiration dates because if they did, my rating would be 0 or something. Like it would be ridiculous. There's always a super delayed reaction. I think one time too, I got approved for something, but I didn't know it. I forget if it might have been an Avon book, and I had put in to get access to one of the books, but I didn't know it. I never got an email or a pop-up or something, but like I didn't know. And then eventually I read the book and I had purchased it. And I don't know, again, this is probably, I haven't checked NetGalley in months now as I say this, but like months ago, or the last time I probably did, I saw it and I was like, oh, I can do a review on this one, even though I didn't use the NetGalley widget. Oh, things. See, I'm glad Tracy says NetGalley is the best. I think the one thing with NetGalley is you get to see what's coming out, and then you can get excited for it, even if you don't read it on NetGalley. You can say, "Oh, this book has this, this author, this book." Yeah. So you can mark your calendar.
Like, because it's like it can be discouraging, but I tell people like, be careful what you wish for, because before you know it, you're going to get approved for all these things. And now you got to read them and review them. And I'm a mood reader. So like I may ask for it and it may take them 3 weeks to give it to me. And I'm like, well, now I'm not really in the mood for the book.
But yeah, I just told you I was rereading my old favorites. Sometimes you don't want to take a chance either.
Yeah. This year has been like, I have been mostly reading backlist titles. So I'm like, I need to stay off of NetGalley because older books have just been it for me this year. So
I don't know what it was. I was going to say, I started using the Kindle app a long time ago. Obviously, I got little lines around my eyes. So I went back to the beginning of my Kindle library, and I was reading books that I had purchased, when I first got Kindle, and it was like the first time I was reading them. I had no recollection. It was like reading them for the first time. It was wonderful. Didn't have to spend any money. I already had them. It was great.
Oh, good night, Lady Gizmo. Thank you.
I know.
I hope Max found his treat. Oh,
you're so sweet. I like the little bone emoji. I didn't even know that was a thing. I know. He's probably wondering, why mommy's ignoring him at this point. So he's probably being like, but my nighttime walk, beat mommy. Again, I do the voices. Like, I imagine what he's thinking. I imagine what he's saying.
Little Max. So when are you all meeting again? Like, what's the next meeting? So I can watch.
I was like, let me open the book. So next month is next month we have Murder in G Major. And so for March, we have 2 guest hosts, Stephanie Richards and G. Ann Epstein. So we have 2 guest hosts next month, and these women have been involved in the book club for the longest time. And so I love you. You're great. So as I'm like, I was so excited to see the names pop up with the Google survey. So I posted the Google form, excuse me. So I had asked people to fill out the Google form to show interest, because I didn't want to put people on the spot being like, will you guest host? Like, if someone's camera shy or something. So when I got to go through the Google form and see who filled it out, I'm sort of just doing it in batches. So I can repost and reshare the Google form. So if you are interested, you can go fill it out. This way I know you might want to be a guest host in the future. You can also choose the months. I was so happy. The reason why I'm pointing at like Bree, I'm like, she filled it out, and I think you chose 2 months, and I was so excited. Like, she chose February. I need a guest host, and I know her, and she's great. I was like, the timing, it aligned.
I did. So like, if you have a month down the line that you like want me to come on, I would love to come on.
I was so excited because, again, I posted the form, and again, like, I don't want to make people feel pressure, or, I don't want to be like, on the lookout to see who's answered. I don't want to be like refreshing it every couple, because once I start to do that, that's what I'm going to do. So I waited until, I waited probably like a month to go check in with the form. And you were probably, I think, the second person, because Ben was the first person who filled out the form, and you were the second. I'm like, she filled out the form. I'm so excited. Because I wanted to ask you to be a guest host, but I know you're so busy. This woman, I mean, I don't know. So you're in school.
I'm not as busy as I may look, okay?
She's a mom of, you have 3 children, I believe.
Yes.
Like, she has 3 children that she's taking care of. She's raising a family. She's in school. Her Instagram is, amazing. So you got to take those pictures. You got to edit and everything else. You're reading. I was like, I don't want to put her on the spot and make her feel like, So I was so happy to see your name pop up. So like, I'm giving you all the credit and shout out. I was like, thank you for filling out the form and being here.
Thank you. Yeah. Like I signed up for 2. So whenever you need me to come back for my second, just let me know.
I was going to say, right? Like, you were the second person. And so Ben I think he clicked off multiple months. And then I saw you said February. I'm like, oh my gosh, I already have my first 2. I'm like, this is great. It's perfect.
Hey.
I was so excited. And plus, again, it's so funny because her title is Falling for Romance. I was there when you first started reading romance. And so I was like, oh, she's romance. It's February. Oh, and then this book had no romance in it, but I liked that. So I was just like, I was so excited. I was like, February it is. So I was so happy that you're able to do this month. And it's also been the longest time since I got to chat with you, because I get to see your beautiful photos when my Instagram is behaving itself. We're not going to get to that. But like, if I ever accidentally unfollow someone, just let me know and I will fix it. She was one of the accounts that my Instagram unfollowed, and I was so mad when I saw that. But
it happens. And like the way the algorithm works, you're just like, did so-and-so stop posting? And then you go look, and it's like, no, like they're active all the time. It just doesn't want me to see it. So it happens.
So because I hadn't seen any photos for a while, and then I was like, I'm following her. I'm like, I get to see her photos now. Instagram, behave yourself. I see her photos. So I mean, you're incredible. Like, I don't know how you I'm like, I don't know how you live your life. Like you're an inspiration. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us this month, because now I got to go look up the other month that you selected, because now I'm curious, because I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I was like, if you have any cozy mysteries on your TBR or any other things that pop up, I'm like, you're going to have to, get involved.
I'm going to send you when we get off of here. I'm going to message you like my shelves. Like, these are the books that I couldn't think of while we were talking.
I know, right? Once the video art, again, I'm going to go through, because YouTube is really funky when it comes to comments. Like, they pop up as the video goes. Like, this is why it takes me a little while to sometimes, get all the comments for the giveaways. Now that I'm doing, the next time I go through the video to do the comments, I'm probably gonna be like, okay, I'm going to make a note of this book and this book. So it might even take me a little longer to do the giveaway if I do that too. But yeah, because there are obviously like a lot of books that were referenced, and I have shelves to reorganize because I was just grabbing things after a certain point. So yeah, I'm like, I think that this was really, it was kind of nice to talk about different books in addition to the book of the month, because sometimes we just talk about the book of the month. And I mean, again, I love that. I mean, last month I was like gushing over Killer Chardonnay, and I would have kept gushing over it forever because it was such a great read. But yeah, it was kind of nice to talk about additional cozies in addition to Crime and Punishment.
I just had to pick your and like everybody's brain, because I don't really get to talk about cozy mysteries. So thank you guys for having me and letting me, ask questions and get recommendations and talk about Amanda Flowers. And
I feel like we kind of need shirts like Amanda Flower crew, like the cozy mystery crew of Amanda Flower. Like, gotta have.
I saw like her Hallmark book, like it sold out the day that it came out. And I'm like messaging her on Instagram. I'm like, I'm trying to buy the book and it's gone. And then as soon as Barnes & Noble got it in again, I was like, I was there. And I was like, I'm dying if you have a book under Hallmark.
Because she also seems like just the sweetest little human being too. I love her newsletter. If you guys aren't following her newsletter, she's just so sweet. I think the last one, she had a soup recipe. I mean, again, here's this woman who's writing all these books, and she has these random inclusions, and she has this Etsy store where she has handmade crafts, and I'm going, how? And she also has really adorable cats. If you mentioned you like cats, like if you guys like
cats, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, follow her.
How do you have time to write Flowers? I don't know.
I feel like I need to make a list of women for BookTube, for Bookstagram, for writing. Be like, these are the women I aspire to be like. Because that is what it feels like.
It's Women's Month with Women's History.
I mean, that's what it is like. I mean, again, I got to give her credit for being able to, because she doesn't just write a lot of books. She writes a lot of great books.
Yeah.
And she has great characters and great stories. I mean, there are some authors who, who find a formula, and like, if you like one book, you will like all the others, and like, that's great. But she doesn't do, none of her stuff. I mean, every single thing is unique unto itself. Yeah. So like, bow down to her. Bow down. I was like, give you all the gold stars for your shirt. Like, if I was the teacher, like, you get the gold star. But you guys are so great. And you guys are amazing for joining and reading and being a part of the book club. I mean, I didn't even realize like how long we've been talking. I mean, it wasn't until the dog was like, pay attention to me, where I was like, hey, wait a second.
Wow. Our little sweet dog. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
You are welcome anytime.
With us. Thank you.
I know. Thank you guys for joining. Next month is Murder in G Major. I already made the YouTube link so you can add it to your watch list. I will reshare it. If you haven't signed up for my personal newsletter, I always feel like I'm pitching, but I'm not. I always include the links and references to the books and where to find them in there, which is why I'm referencing it. Plus, I have a bunch of freebies. I was doing this earlier. I have all the freebie links and stuff. I really went into, so if you sign up, you have access to like all the mandalas that I had created, all the cozy bingo cards, just everything cozy. I really, try to do a lot for you guys. So if you want to subscribe, please do that, because I will include more information, additional giveaway information, and so much more. I always try and do that. I only send it out once a month on the first of the month, every month. That's it. There are some authors who do, daily. I'm not going to do that. I promise. So you can add that to your watch list. And I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one other thing. So next month, Stephanie and Jeanne are going to be the guests. And then April, Vonnie and Victoria are going to be, again, we have two guest hosts. But after that, I was going to ask if you guys can start thinking about books for May, because once again, we're going to have to start doing the Twitter polls because we only have 2 more books on the TBR. So you got to start thinking about what other first books in the series you might want to read. So please start thinking, mulling that over. There's no rush. 2 months away, but just start thinking.
Cannot wait. Can't wait to see what they are.
I know. I'm always so excited because people will find books that either slipped through the cracks or were older that I never saw, or books that had just come out. Or, I mean, it's always great to have people who love cozies recommend, be like, this is a cozy I want to read. You know, I think that's so great. So I can't wait, you know, just start thinking. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with because I know it's going to be great. But please stay, please check the Twitter account and Instagram for the winners for tonight, as I'm starting to lose my voice. Yes, because I'm going to go through the comments. It's going to take me a little while because clearly y'all are amazing and we're killing it tonight with the comments. So once the video archives, I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. It might take me a little while, but please be sure to check the Cozy Instagram and Twitter for the announcement, because sometimes when it comes to YouTube, I can't find people, like, again, people don't have to have YouTube accounts to comment for YouTube. So sometimes it's difficult to find the Instagram handle or the Twitter handle. So please be on the lookout to see if your name gets posted, because I want to make sure I can contact you so you get your either Amanda Flower or Ellen Byron book. So be on the lookout for that.
Everybody, good luck.
And a huge thank you, virtual hugs to Bree. I am so happy and so thankful and appreciative that you joined us tonight. I mean, I adore her. So again, if you are not already following her across platforms, please do so. She's incredible. And she's also the kindest human being. You know, it's one of those things where some people are so talented, but you're talented and a good person. Like, you're just the complete package. So just shout out to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm rooting for you.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. Thank you.
I know. I love the Cozy Club. You know, I kind of got a little emotional. I was like, no, I'm going to stay composed. I mean, your well wishes, I mean, they really do mean so much to me, because, you know, this is, as I'm getting emotional again, you know, I love this club. I love being able to celebrate books with people who share my love of literature, who, you know, enjoy the same books that I do, and celebrating books, you know, about women, by women. It's just, it's a wonderful feeling. And I love being able to spread the coziness. So just thank you guys for joining us. And, you know, this was your Tuesday night. So thank you for spending your Tuesday night with us. Like, you guys are the best. So hugs to you too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Please stay safe and healthy. And, you know, please take care of yourselves during